All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And welcome to Tag Team Takes, the professional wrestling podcast that everyone on the internet needs to be watching. Today, guys, this is our first inaugural episode. We're so happy to be joining you today. And what better way to start a podcast about professional wrestling than to talk about Wrestlemania, and then specifically WrestleMania 41. John, Las Vegas hosted 2 nights of WrestleMania over the course of Saturday and Sunday on the Easter holiday weekend, which is a strange and bewildering choice, I have to say. I don't know why that was decided upon, but hey, that's what happened. We're going to be talking about all the matches on the card. We're going to be giving our star ratings. John, specifically, we're talking about night 1 on this episode of the podcast, and I got to tell you, man, this is one of the things I've been fearing throughout the past couple years that we've been watching WrestleManias over the course of 2 nights. I'm going to tell you, man, this kind of felt like the pre-show to WrestleMania. Did you get that kind of vibes? Minus one match, which we will talk about at some point during this. But all these cards, honestly, all these matches felt like Raw episode matches, right? I really didn't think anything was too spectacular, unfortunately.
No, yeah, I 100% agree with you. I felt like... But that's the one thing that I've always thought, that you can't do too much greatness on night 1 because then you have a lot to live up to for night 2. And then vice versa. And then I feel like the card wasn't as stacked as it normally is, per se.
Right. And I think it's a pacing issue too. Would you say that was part of the issue? It's weird. I have a lot of issues, right, with the way this card was, I think, paced and why certain matches were chosen and what place on the card. Some of it has to do with the storytelling. Some of it just has to do with downright ugliness of some of the matches that we had here. I think the build-up this year was kind of wonky. Ever since really Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber, which that's a whole, I think, episode we can do onto itself, where I feel like Elimination Chamber kind of invalidates Royal Rumble to a point as far as their storytelling. A lot of these matches, I think, suffered from that. And then also, just like I said, weird build-ups, especially the women's match and the Jey Uso championship match, which, you know what, let's just start with it. Let's start with the first match of the night. First match of the night was Jey Uso versus Gunther, who was the champion for the World Heavyweight Championship. John, this match could have been so much more, and I think it needed to be a lot more. It started off okay. Jey Uso, I think, had a lot of really good offense in the beginning, and Gunther was definitely showing his dominance throughout the match. Problem was the ending, right? This is where I think this match faltered the most for me. How about you? What did you think?
No, yeah, I agree 100%. Going into WrestleMania, I was like, this match should have been a main event match. This match should have been the main event for the card, at least. And I was like, all right, it's making, like we've been talking about, how like the Royal Rumble winner seems like it just doesn't matter anymore. It's one of those, just like, oh, thrown up, oh, wow, you won the Royal Rumble, who really cares? But like, even in this match, it felt like it was almost like, okay, I understand. Like, the match kind of lived up to starting the pay-per-view in a way. Like, you don't always, like, sometimes you want to start off with one of the best matches and then go through it. But this one was kind of like, especially even the ending, I wasn't like blown away by. I wanted Jay to have his moment, but I wanted it to be a lot bigger than that.
So a couple things I think we can talk about. This again, guys, this episode might be a little bit longer than normal. We got to kind of set ourselves up. We haven't had this big, long discussion with you, so we want to make sure we're getting our opinions out there, just so you can kind of see where we stand, because some of these might be a little bit hotter of takes with some of them. Jey Uso has not been a favorite of the internet since his winning of the Royal Rumble. I think he's been getting a lot of unnatural hate, I think, from people. Sure, I think his moveset is very limited, and did it show in this match? Yes, it incredibly did. Beyond his very ugly spear, which I think is probably one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's more of not even a shoulder tackle. I don't even know what he does when he does his spear. Besides that, a couple splashes and, his super kicks. He really doesn't do much in the ring, but that can be said about a lot of WWE wrestlers, even the most popular, or even the goated wrestlers such as John Cena. They don't have the moves, but they do have something else that carries them in this match. And that's kind of what I was looking for Jay to bring to this match. But John, honestly, man, when I was watching this match, I felt like Jay just left something behind. And I don't know if it was the crowd or maybe Jay himself coming into this match, even going down the ramp, or he didn't even go down the ramp. Actually, he came all the way from the top of the arena down to the ring, which is a cool choice, but he just seemed off. Did you get like an off vibe from him? a little bit. I feel like the energy just wasn't there. Either the crowd wasn't feeling it, he wasn't feeling it. Something felt disconnected for me throughout the whole entirety of the match.
I felt like he was maybe too in his head too, because I feel like
Yeah.
the last time we saw him at WrestleMania, he was going against his brother, and it was supposed to be like a huge big thing, those two
Right.
against each other, and like the match didn't turn out how they wanted, how anybody really wanted. I feel like that was kind of in the back of his mind where he was kind of thinking like, I got to put on a good show, but like it just showed in his performance.
Yeah, it did. It felt severely lacking, especially when we versus Gunther, who I think Gunther is okay champion, which I really shouldn't be saying. He is definitely the epitome of as far as wrestling ability and skill. He's a great wrestler. I don't know how he gets over with the crowd sometimes. I just don't feel it necessarily. And that's okay though, but he is like the internet wrestling community's champion. Everyone loves Gunther, and I get it. I definitely get it. But you needed that momentum. What this match really needed was that shot of adrenaline. We needed to see Jey Uso have his like Daniel Bryan moment, right? When Daniel Bryan won the title at WrestleMania and the crowd was on top of it. I felt like there was no drama really in this match. I really didn't feel any kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to be next? It felt very predictable throughout all of it. And then we get to the finish. The finish of this match, I think, is really just kind of what tanked it a lot for me. What really drew a lot of what I thought it could have been something special. Because again, I don't know if the crowd really expected this either. And I feel like it's also hurt Gunther's ability as well to get over and to remain like this top star. It ends up with Jay just does a couple splashes, and then he uses the chokehold that Gunther used in the build up to this match against Jimmy to knock him out when he had him on Raw. I think it was, he had him in like the chokehold and he made him pass out. Jay uses the same move on him, and Gunther just taps immediately, and the match is over, and Jay just runs out and celebrates, and that's kind of it. It didn't feel right? Would you agree? Gunther's long title reign of well over a year, I think, right? Is it almost 2 years or something like that? Whatever his title reign is, whatever it is, it didn't feel, this monster that you built, this, the supremacy of wrestling, this character that he is, tapped out in a matter of seconds in this really kind of short match, which I don't think it was very long. Maybe was it 20 minutes? I want to say 30 minutes, maybe. I'm not going to be super hype on the times here, but it didn't feel right, John. The build up didn't feel right for that end, and I think the crowd kind of felt it too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I felt like the ending was very lackluster. One of those things where, like in a lot of these big matches that they have at WrestleMania, they want to not only build one guy up, but
Sure.
also bring the other guy up with them. And I feel like this puts a damper on Gunther's going forward now, because he tapped out so easily. It wasn't like, you were building him up to be like this mean, bad, strong ass guy that's gonna beat people up and
Right.
take crap from nobody. And then all of a sudden he's like gets in a chokehold for like a couple seconds and he's already tapping.
It was
Like
too
they could
quick.
they could
Right.
have made him pass out or something. Like that's what they normally do. And this
Right.
was like
Now,
nothing.
what do you think was the choice behind that? If he had passed out, man, that would have been significantly different. I think we'd be having a different conversation here. I know it's cliche, and it is absolutely, it's 100% cliche, and especially in the sport of professional wrestling at this point where people pass out. But I think it adds a bit of gravity and a bit of grit to that character. That like, I'm not tapping out. I'm gonna pass out before I tap out to anybody, and that's what I think they needed to do here, right? I
Well,
know again it would have been predictable, but I think it would have added to Gunther 100%.
but it also adds to Jey Uso though then too, because it shows that he was willing to do everything he could and make sure that he kept in the hold to make Gunther pass out. And
Right.
it shows that Jey Uso is stronger than what we think he was.
Right.
Instead, now it just looks like Gunther kind of gave up and just quit on his title, and it's like, all right, now where are you going to go from here? Like,
And I don't know, an argument I think could be made, and this isn't my opinion necessarily, this is what maybe someone could say as a counterpoint to this, is Gunther is the ring general. He is that guy. He knows how to wrestle. He knows when he's in a situation and when he can't get out or he can't win. So maybe that was the thought behind this, right? He's tapping out immediately because he knows he can't get out. He knows he can't win. Almost kind of mimicking like that MMA style, I guess, where like, when you're in a chokehold in MMA and you just tap like, I'm not getting out of this. It's not going to happen. But this isn't MMA, right? This is professional wrestling. It's a story. It's supposed to be action. The crowd is supposed to be invested. The crowd, I think, how much would the crowd have been into this if he was just, like you said, holding on for dear life? Like Jay's holding on for dear life, and like Gunther's kind of like struggling, trying to get out. It's like, oh my God, is he going to get out of this? It's just, there was no build up. It felt so disproportionate, the build to this whole thing. Even the story, I think, is disproportionate, but we're not going to go too much into that. They did clean up their act by the end. I think they did save it when they involved Jimmy in the whole storytelling. Finally, they gave like Jay that moment, like, I'm gonna get you, but he didn't really get him. He kind of just caught him, and that was the end of it. I didn't feel like Jay really should have been. He's still the underdog, but it should have been almost a point of dominance, right? It should have been this point where it's just like, man, he really got him. He said he was gonna get revenge on Gunther, and it felt emotional. There was no emotional weight to this, man. I was really let down by it, unfortunately.
No, yeah, 100% agree. And I also feel like, again, what WWE does with the submission locks, they never make the submission locks look as good as they need to.
Yeah.
They're always like half done or something, and that's the other thing that puts this to bed. Like, it didn't even seem like he had him in a great choke as fast as he tapped out. Like, normally, like, even in MMA, they would have had to hold on a different way and hold on tighter than that, and that was kind of like,
yeah,
nothing.
And I think the argument here is we all knew Jay was going to win. I don't think there was kind of any shock to him actually winning the match. What I needed to see, though, is I needed to see the drama. I needed to see something beyond a few splashes and a choke, to be honest. And I think this would have been more exciting. But I'm going to throw a star rating on this one. We're going to do this for each of the matches. I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 stars. It's a competent wrestling match. I know we're really like dogging on it a lot here, but I think it's a competent wrestling match. I think if I watched this on maybe Monday Night Raw, maybe at best like a premium live event, like a Backlash that was coming up or something like that, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. But man, this is the opening match to WrestleMania. I needed a lot more, and it just didn't do it for me. John, what about you? What star are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 3 too. I feel like it was, like you were saying, like maybe on other ones it would have been better, but like to start off your whole entire WrestleMania thing on a thing that you've been trying to per se build since Royal Rumble is like,
yeah,
kind of like a letdown per se.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that that's how we started it off, and I'm not going to tell you it's going to get much better, because next match that come up was the New Day versus the Viking Raiders, or the War Raiders. I'm sorry, the War Raiders. Now that they're called. Let's get it right, Kevin. Even though they come out in like their Viking Raider gear, which I thought was hilarious. New Day coming out to the Giant Gonzalez tribute gear. I thought was very interesting. WrestleMania throwback. This was another match. Just what was this match doing on the card? I'm sorry. I'm not a huge fan of the War Raiders. I think they're fine. The New Day obviously are a phenomenal tag team. Kofi and Xavier Woods are absolutely phenomenal. This match just didn't feel like it had a place on the card. To be honest with you, but with the Raw build-up for this match is non-existent. It feels like it was just thrown together. It was just, again, a fine match. The combos, I think, were good between the wrestlers. Kofi and Xavier have phenomenal chemistry. The War Raiders do as well. Not to say they're big guys that do big things, but felt like a Raw match, man, to be honest. I don't even really have much to say about it. It kind of just felt like it happened. The New Day ends up winning. I forget what number they're on as far as tag team title reigns, but I know they're up there now, obviously, as one of the highest winning tag titles. Fine. It was fine.
Yeah, I wasn't blown away.
It's hard, right? It's hard to talk about something that's just fine, to be honest with you.
Again, and that's one of the things that too, like, you wanted to go from this huge Jey Uso win to like, obviously you knew that like maybe it wasn't going to live up to the hype, but it was almost like this match was just okay. Like, even like you're used to seeing Kofi Kingston at least at PLEs doing some amazing things, and I felt like in this match they didn't have that much, you know?
Right.
Like, I felt like there could have been more cool stuff done in this match.
Yeah, I mean, they had, again, the finish, I think, was good with the backbreaker, like, double stomp combo that they did to win the match. It was good. And then the fact that they grabbed the titles and they ran out of there, the New Day, that was fun as hell, being the whole playing the heel act and everything like that. But again, I think this also has a lot to do with, I think, Triple H's angle on the tag division, which, again, we could make a lot of videos on this. This is a whole other separate video. Triple H's treatment of the tag team division seems kind of meh, right? To be honest with you, they really don't get as much time as they need, and I think they do have a lot of really talented wrestlers out there. But we need to be seeing some more story with them. This really should have been developed at least. You don't have to be perfect by any means, but it needed to be a little bit more just to give me something. The New Day, I think, they're doing great as far as being heels in this new role that they're taking on. But again, the build-up to this match was non-existent, and it kind of just happened. So I'm going to give it 2.5 stars out of 5. It was fine. Again, it happened. Little underwhelming. I expected a little more bigger spots. The crowd was absolutely dead for this, and the crowd kind of is dead a lot of this Mania. So again, this will be something I think we're going to be saying a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2. I felt like it was just an average at best match, but like underwhelming. Definitely didn't live up to the WrestleMania hype.
No. And then going into the next match, too. So the next match was Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This is the blood feud that's been kind of brewing since Naomi betrayed Jade to get her spot with Bianca Belair as the tag team championships. And the sudden reveal that, it was actually Naomi that attacked Jade and put her on the shelf. And now she's wanting revenge Jade. She's here to fight Naomi, and they have their match. And I didn't know what I was going to expect with this. Jade Cargill's been an interesting specimen since arriving in WWE, to the fact where we haven't really seen her at all besides a few matches. I don't think she's maybe a limited number of pay-per-view matches, a couple of matches on SmackDown here with the tag titles. John, as far as singles competition is concerned, I don't think Jade's really ready to carry herself on her own. Naomi, on the other hand, another person kind of similar to the New Day in the situation where she's been a face for most of her career, and suddenly now she has this reinventive heel turn, and I think Naomi's really excelling at that. I really like her gimmick with the caution tape as far as her new heel persona. She's got the attitude. Naomi's been very bland for me, I'm going to be honest with you. She's not somebody that I've really seen. I think she has the skill, but her character is just like, feel the glow. I'm bouncing around. No, I like this new heel persona. I think it is going to add something to the women's division. It's a little bit of a spark I think she needed. But she carried this match, John. I'm not going to lie to you. Jade is impressive with her strength, and I think she is someone that can be molded maybe into a better professional wrestler. But in my opinion, at least, besides the big spots that were well done to an extent, I didn't see much from Jade in this match.
Yeah, I kind of expected a lot more from this match, to be honest. I felt like, they tried to make this a huge storyline, and they just kind of fell flat again. Like, it seems like a lot of the matches, just to start off with, have been falling flat and not living up to that WrestleMania hype.
Right.
We expect at WrestleMania, it's their biggest night, their biggest show, where these wrestlers should put on the best shows that they can.
Right.
And lately, these matches have been, not their best performances. I feel like, maybe, they weren't scripted right or something, but just things haven't worked out well for them.
Did you get the feeling of, blood feud, really, in this match? I didn't get that vibe. It felt more like a Raw or SmackDown kind of match. I didn't feel like... I feel like Jade should have been, foaming at the mouth to get to Naomi. You put me on the shelf. I'm here to take you out. I did not get the bloodlust at all in this match. I think that's really what it was missing. And again, I think the crowd felt that too. And her corny entrance, Jade. I don't know what they were doing. They had a weatherman standing outside or whatever. What was that? That was a weird choice. The rest of her entrance was fine, but why did you do that? That was just incredibly stupid. You cartooned up her character for no reason.
Well, yeah, and it also felt like they were both, even though Naomi was playing a heel character, it still felt like they were just two faces going at it in a match where, neither one really hated the other one as much as they should have.
Yeah, which I wonder if social media plays into that, because I always feel like they're still posting with each other that they're friends and stuff like that. And then, Naomi joking oh, I hate that bee, I hate that bitch, blah, 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 blah. I don't see that. You're definitely still friends outside of it, and it's not very convincing. And again, ironically, I don't know if this is a failure. I guess it's a failure on WWE's part as well, where they built up this really good story for them to have this amazing feud and match, and didn't really come across at all. And again, I just can't get over how green Jade still feels, unfortunately. The camera work tried to hide it at times. I don't know if you caught that a few times, where she was just waiting for spots. Jade, you could tell she was just like this. like standing there with like her head up, like looking up, waiting for Naomi to jump off the top rope and catch her. And she, don't get me wrong, she did the move fine, right? I think she caught her, and she had a really sick move where she caught, I think Naomi jumped off the top rope and Jade caught her in like a suplex and then power bombed her down. That was crazy. What the hell? That was really well done, incredibly athletic. But again, man, your camera work kind of ruined it. Jade just was too green to let the match flow naturally and let me see that just happen. It felt like professional wrestling. Is that a stupid thing to say on a professional wrestling podcast? Right? It felt like, oh man, I'm gonna get shot for this one. It feels like sometimes like an AEW spot fest almost, right? It felt like this, like when you see the guy just standing there. It feels like indie talent sometimes when you see indie talent in the camera for the first time and they don't know how to like cover themselves or how to react the correct way. Like you're just standing there waiting for a match, and that's always one of the biggest pitfalls for me with professional wrestling. When you see wrestlers clearly waiting for a spot to happen, I hate that shit. And Jay's just not good enough yet to cover that, but I think she was able to at least competently hold herself in the ring, right? I think we could say that at least.
Well, yeah, sometimes those matches, they feel like an LFG kind of match.
Yeah,
like,
right?
You're just like, all right, I can see you're learning, but like, sometimes it's not like, this is not the spot to be learning at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and Jade's been on the shelf for a while, which with an unknown either injury or because she didn't want to be there. It's very unclear whatever was going on with her, why she wasn't on WWE programming for quite some time, so I don't know if that's affecting everything. Whatever the case is, though, John, I'm going to give this one 2.5 stars out of 5. Again, it was just like fine. It could have been a lot better. Again, it just kind of happened. I just think the emotions really, I can forgive some of the nitpicks as far as, the waiting there, standing for spots and stuff like that. If you had more emotion in it, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. So yeah, 2.5 stars out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2. Again, I felt like it wasn't another underwhelming match. Not a great way to start off a pay-per-view that's got 2 parts to it, really.
Not really, man. I feel like we're not doing so hot here. And next match, I think we did a little better in the next match. Next match was LA Knight Intercontinental Champion versus Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf. 2 big guys that are big beefy guys that like to beat the crap out of each other. Again, overall was a decent match, I think. Jacob Fatu definitely showing his supremacy as far as this character that's just crazy, jumping off of stuff, doing the moonsaults were fantastic. LA Knight hit a few good spots. I think there was one little botch there where LA Knight like almost dropped him or something like that. LA Knight's like a botch fest sometimes when he does his moves, but overall I was entertained by it. I thought the entrances were pretty cool with LA Knight coming out of what kind of car was it? He had like a I forget what he had. Some kind of sports car he came out of, and then Jacob Fatu with the Samoan Werewolf Max coming out with interesting. Solo Sikoa is like his manager now. That's kind of
another weird thing.
That's some kind of bullshit, right? You were literally the leader of the new bloodline for months on months, and you were shoved down our throats, did nothing. Now you're like a manager to a clearly obvious superior Jacob Fatu, who's incredibly athletic. He looked good. Jacob Fatu wins with 2 moonsaults onto LA Knight to close this one out, and I thought it was fine. This was, again, still feels like a Raw match, I'm not going to say, but this felt a little bit better. I feel like the crowd was starting to come a little bit more alive in this match. I don't know if it's just the energy of these two, because you have Jacob Fatu, this wild man going crazy, and then the charismatic LA Knight. I think they woke the crowd up a little bit for this match, if we're going to be honest here.
Yeah, definitely a better match. I thought I enjoyed this match. I thought LA Knight was good in it. I thought Jacob Fatu was awesome in it. I feel like it helps Jacob Fatu's character. I feel like it makes him stronger and more ready, and I feel like he's kind of like ready for the moment and ready to be the champion too.
Yeah, so you'd say right guy won this match for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
So what are your thoughts on LA Knight now at this point? Because I feel like LA Knight's he's on the cusp always of being in the main event. Do you think he's ever going to go beyond mid card? Do you think he's ever going to be given the proverbial horse and kind of go run with it? You think that's ever going to happen with him? Because I would say if you asked me like 6 months ago, right, when he was really popping off with the and he was going crazy and everyone was loving it, I think he would have been like the next big thing. He had like the next Stone Cold vibe. I feel like it cooled off. Either the crowd did or WWE did or everybody kind of did at the same time. Is that the vibe that you're getting here, or what do you think on LA
Yeah,
Knight right now?
I think LA Knight was killed with Shinsuke Nakamura. I feel
That
like
hurt.
that was
Yeah.
where everything started going down. I felt like that feud between those two just didn't help him as much as it should have.
Yeah.
But I think he's still a great character. I think that he needs a little bit more retooling, and then he can be in like bigger matches.
I
You
think he's
know.
got to get the ball, kind of, right? They kind of got to give him something. And I think the Intercontinental title run was a particular chance for him to maybe to do something. But then, like you said, it's kind of weird. Shinsuke Nakamura won the IC title prior to this. LA Knight, he beat him for it, won it, did nothing with it. LA Knight was kind of just like stuck in limbo. LA Knight versed him again, beat him for it, got it back, and now is dropping it again to Jacob Fatu, who's like the new flavor of the month or whatever you want to say at this point. I don't know. I feel like LA Knight's he's kind of in a weird spot, right? And I think the biggest issue right now, and that's again I keep saying this, another video topic is too, the main event scene is so crowded, man. You know, there's so many good talents right now in the main event scene, especially on SmackDown. Part of me wonders maybe he'd be more viable on Raw, right? Challenging for that World Heavyweight title. Maybe there's a place for him. Because it's interesting when you have someone like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, like these two big characters, arguably, and John Cena is versing for the WWE Undisputed title. It kind of doesn't leave many room for other people, right? They're kind of the top brass of the company, and they're not losing to someone like LA Knight.
No, do I? Especially not at like a Mania type thing.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother argument for a separate video. But John, I'm gonna give this one 3.5 stars out of 5. A little better, I think, than your average match. Again, two big guys beating the crap out of each other. It was fine. Jacob Fatu impressed. I think LA Knight definitely, brought their A game. They tried to wake the crowd up. I think they did a decent job for it. So yeah, 3.5 for me.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 too. I thought it was
It was an
definitely a better
improvement,
match.
right?
Definitely way better than the Naomi Jade match, and then
It's funny. I don't feel like we're like giving a huge compliment though, right? It's like it was an improvement. It's like a little better than a Raw match. It was a little better.
it's still close to like a Raw main event, but
it's fine. It's better. It's a little better. Oh, this is what are we doing here, man? Talking about WrestleMania like this,
well,
it's a shame.
The problem would be too, like, if these pay-per-views were still like, WrestleMania used to be like $70 to $80 sometimes.
Yeah, imagine
for the night, and you would think,
and it still is for some people, just not for us here in the United States, but other places do pay for it.
Yeah, well, you think $70 or $80, and this is what they're starting off with. Does that really entice you to want to buy it to get day 2?
Yeah,
or night 2 per se?
What if you were there? I'd be kind of pissed, to be honest with you. If I'm sitting there and I paid $1,000 for my seat or wherever it was in the nosebleeds because it's so ridiculously expensive, and this is the kind of crap you're giving me, I wouldn't have been too happy personally. I think I would have been a little peeved, if you will, about this one.
Well, I think that's the other problem too with them doing 2 nights is always like, all right, which night? If I get night 1, what matches am I really gonna get? And then always night 2 seems to have the bigger matches, but like, I felt like, all right, like, come on.
Yeah, no, it's something. But let's go into the next one. So the next match here, this was a last minute change. So this was supposed to be El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was actually injured prior to this. Surprise, surprise. Rey Mysterio, Mr. Injury Prone. He actually got a groin injury prior to this on the SmackDown Eve. And they threw Rey Fenix. And coincidentally, another Rey. I thought that was kind of funny. Another Rey. Rey Fenix, who's recently debuted in WWE from his AEW promotion where he was last. And, Chad Gable playing El Grande Americano, which I think is a funny as hell character. I'm really enjoying this. Again, it's a whole thing. I'm really enjoying it. It was a fine match. It's just one of those matches. I'm going to let it have a little bit of leeway with me, right? I mean, they only knew about this Friday. To be honest, Rey Mysterio was just injured. They had no time to prepare this. And Chad Gable being as good as he is and Rey Fenix being as good as he is, match was fine. I think it had a really wonky finish, which we'll talk about a little bit. But overall, I think I wanted a lot. I would have wanted a lot more, and I think we would have gotten a lot more if they had more time to prepare for this match. But otherwise, it was serviceable, John.
I agree. I felt like it was just an okay match, but I felt like, again, maybe if they had more time, they'd have more to do. And I felt like they could have made such a bigger match than what they did.
Yeah, El Grande Americano, I love this gimmick for Chad Gable, and it's funny how they've been building it up over the week, like, oh, Chad Gable's been left off the card, but they let this El Grande Americano guy come in and have his WrestleMania debut match, and he comes out to the sepia, background brown colors, and he has the mariachi band playing in the background when he's coming in. Like, that's really funny. Okay, yeah, that's really great. And Ray Phoenix having a debut, good for him. He was able to capitalize on this, and Ray Phoenix is that damn good. He definitely will be a big star in this company going forward. Him and Penta for sure are definitely two of the best luchadors they have on the roster. This match just, I don't know if I like the whole El Grande Americano thing they've been doing with, he puts like a piece of metal in his mask and then he like headbutts somebody. It's fine. It's kind of stupid if you think of outside of wrestling logic, because he's probably hurting himself when he's hitting somebody else with metal between his head and the other person's head. Not very smart when you come to really, put your mind to it. Interesting finish though. Ray Phoenix goes to kick him and he headbutts his ankle and he hurts his ankle, and then Chad Gable, or I don't know who Chad Gable is. I mean, El Grande Americano comes in and he does, his finish and he wins. And he does a headbutt finish and wins. And it felt kind of lackluster, to be honest. Again, felt like a Raw match. Nothing really more than that. Biggest news really out of this was Vikingo was in the crowd from AEW. Actually from AAA Wrestling, which the biggest news out of this whole thing was WWE purchased AAA Wrestling. John, what do you think of that? That's a pretty crazy buy. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of funny how it kind of like just slid in there, like, oh, by the way, we bought AAA. I'm like, what? You bought AAA Wrestling? What the hell is that? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh my god, like, as you thought, some people thought like wrestling was starting to die out, and then all of a sudden, like, WWE is starting to make these big things, buying these companies up and showing like, hey, we want wrestling to succeed. We want it to go as long as we can. We want
worldwide.
It to.
I think that's the bigger thing, right? We want a worldwide experience here, and purchasing the largest, Hispanic wrestling promotion in the world is a pretty good way to go about it. And I think they're showing that, right, with Penta and Ray Phoenix being on the roster.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but this match was fine. Like I said, I'm not going to give them too much crap. It's not their fault. It was entertaining for what it was. 2.5 stars out of 5. It was fine. John?
Yeah, two and a half. We'll give it 2.5.
Yeah, we'll move on. It was fun. If you haven't seen El Grande Americano before, I would recommend. Most of you probably watching this are wrestling fans to begin with, but if you know the promo video they did with AI, where everyone was freaking out, like, oh my god, they're using AI in this, and kind of missing the whole joke. That it was like, it's Chad Gable using AI to make like this intro for a person that doesn't exist. That's phenomenal stuff. It's funny work. I can't wait to see where they go with it in the future, how they continue it, and what excuses they come up with. El Grande Americano not being Chad Gable. Funny stuff. I do like my comedy in wrestling when it works, and this is a good example of good comedy working. Just, it's unfortunate. There's another match when we talk about Night 2, I think that also had a similar situation. It's interesting to see when WWE has these last minute changes they have to make and what they do. This was, it was adequate. It was fine. If I saw this in person, I don't think I would have been upset, but next match is another story. And John, I'm really curious on your opinion of this one. And this one seems to be one of the most divisive matches of the night as far as I think opinions. Tiffany Stratton, women's WWE champion, versus Charlotte Flair, the nature girl, right? She's going to win her big title. Is she going to win? No, Tiffany Stratton retains in this match. And I got to tell you, man, I'm of two minds of this. But before I go into mine, I really want to hear your opinion. What did you think of this match? Because this is one where we had a lot of blood feud buildup, kind of like we had with but this was like more what's the word I'm looking for, unscripted blood feud here going on, right? What did you think? And then we'll go into it a little bit.
I thought this match wasn't that great. I felt like after watching this match, I was like, all right, this seemed like I know we've been saying like it's a Raw match or a SmackDown match, but this seemed like a very mid-level match where like with Charlotte Flair, you always think of like great WrestleMania moments, great moments in general.
Yeah.
And I felt like her and Tiffany they didn't seem to work together. Something seemed a little off, or something wasn't right.
So do you think there's bad blood between the two? Because going up to this, that was kind of like the highlight of this feud was Tiffany and her both went off script on SmackDown, I believe. where Tiffany was calling out Charlotte for her divorces, and then Charlotte was like calling her with like, "Oh, your boyfriend's in my DMs," and blah 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 blah. And they also had some like weird off the cuff remarks that they made on some like some other interviews that they did and stuff like that. Do you think that played into this match at all? Do you think there was definitely some real? I'm not talking kayfabe. I'm talking real animosity that maybe held this match back a little bit.
I don't think on Charlotte's end
Okay.
it would have held up, because I feel like
You think she's
she's
professional
she's a
enough?
professional.
Okay.
I feel like she's more professional, and she understands this is business and this is what we do to work and this is what we do. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like maybe on Tiffany's end though,
Okay.
it got in her mind and she wasn't able to maybe make it all, because I feel like you got to think. I'm sure there's been times where Charlotte's had to deal with people she doesn't like
Yeah.
because of her name and everything, where
Sure.
people think about her as a different way.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's been able to do things that maybe others wouldn't be able to deal with.
So this is kind of where I'm at with this match. So I think they kind of fell into like a happy accident almost, I would say, right? I think the shoot style that kind of went off as far as their interviews, WWE was like ecstatic. I think that happened to some extent, right? It was like viral clips. That's what this new WWE age is about. It's all about viral marketing and having those YouTube shorts and clips that you can post real quick and get the crowd into everything. And I think they were excited when that happened. And I think what they were going for with this match, and call me crazy, John, just call me crazy here for a second. Just stay with me. Keep the plot. I think they were trying to make this a shoot, right? So what I mean by that is I think they were trying to make it look as real as possible. So I think that's why some of the match looked messy from a certain perspective. I think that's why a lot of the moves didn't feel like they connected right. I think they tried to make this almost look like a fight, right? They were trying to go for this like fight vibe for a match. But the problem is it's a very delicate balance to walk. I've seen some matches and in the past where you can have that. CM Punk is familiar with that. And like Eddie Kingston is another one, I think from AEW, where they have like these matches where they're like, you can't tell, right? Like, do you really like hate this person? I can think CM Punk and Seth Rollins is a good example if you really like it. Sometimes it looks like a shoot when they're punching the crap out of each other. Like they really just don't like each other, and it's hard to tell sometimes. And I think they were trying to go with this match. The problem is, I think it came across a little bit too messy to work, right? To pull off that whole shoot angle where, oh, they're fighting each other. They really don't like each other, but they're trying to keep it together to be professional. And they just, sometimes it just comes out. I didn't feel that in this match. It just felt a little bit too messy. And I think you're right. I think Charlotte did the best she could in this match, even though I will argue that I think she was a little checked out here and there. I felt like she just wasn't the typical Charlotte that we've seen. Maybe because she was going to lose. Who's to say? You know what I mean? That's only she's going to know that, and she's the only one that's going to reveal that. At one point, I felt like she did sandbag Tiffany at one point where Tiffany was going for a suplex and just couldn't get it. So I don't know. That's going to be on them. Only they're going to know that. Tiffany, I think, was definitely... I think there's an argument where maybe she wasn't ready for this level of match, John. Would you maybe agree with that? I think her inexperience was definitely showing. There was a point specifically towards the end of this match where Charlotte literally had to like call the spot and get Tiffany into the correct position in order to get a suplex down. And when I saw that happen, I was like, oh man, she's nervous. Clearly she's nervous. And the match is kind of representative of that. Whether my shoot theory is correct or not, I think it does overall reflect sloppy, this match.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And I feel like that's what everybody's been talking about for a while now, though. Is Tiffany Stratton ready for this big moment? Is she ready to be a champion? And they kind of threw it on her, and it was kind of like, in a way, it was like
It's sink
kind
or
of a
swim,
shock.
right?
Yeah, and like right now she's just holding her head above water, but I feel like
Yeah.
there's so many great women wrestlers that are in this company that where it's like there's only so much time that they can give you.
And Tiffany has it. I don't think we're not saying she doesn't have it. Clearly from her entrance, her Barbie inspired dollhouse, image coming out. I thought that was really well done, really fantastic for her character. Charlotte coming in the I think it was the Mercedes, like pulls up with the doormen opening the doors and letting the queen out of the car. These people know their characters and they're very understanding of their characters. I think a lot of people, including myself, this should be like the dream WrestleMania match for these two, because Tiffany is often compared to like the next Charlotte Flair. There is a lot of comparisons there being made. You know, she's younger. You know, she doesn't have as much experience. She has no professional wrestling background as far as I know. I believe she was a gymnast prior to this. So she's like pure brought up in the WWE developmental system. And if you take that into consideration, she's come extremely far, and she's extremely well talented. As someone who's been, looks like she's seasoned, but you know, it's I think it's nerves. I think it's just maybe the shoot style they were going for. Overall, John, I think this should have been a lot better. If they were going for this shoot style, I don't think it necessarily worked in this match. The raw emotion that I wanted, I've been asking for, wasn't here really in this match either. They tried their best, right? They really tried to show how much they do not like each other. At times it came through, but again, the sloppiness of the match just it's funny. It kind of oddly contradicts what they're trying to do, right? I feel like it didn't really, I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of a mess to me. But even that all being said, I think it's a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. I think it's a competently wrestled match, even though I think you can make arguments for either side as far as it looked. But the right person won. I'm really happy Tiffany won. I think she did need to retain this title. Charlotte can take as many losses as she needs, and I don't think it's going to hurt her at this point. She'll always be Charlotte Flair. She'll bounce back and win another title in the future, but Tiffany needs to build up this resume. And this is the right person won, so no faults from me on this one.
Yeah, no, I'll give it a 3. I feel like it was okay. I mean, again, I felt like we expected more, and it just doesn't live up.
And is that our fault sometimes? I wonder, did we expect too much? You know, our expectation versus what we got. It's
Maybe.
tough, right?
But I feel like in the granddaddy of them all, you really want to.
This is WrestleMania. How much can I tell you this? This is WrestleMania. And saying that this is WrestleMania brings me into the next match, which is our main event for the evening. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. John, this was the match I wanted all night. And not just because it features like 3 of my favorite and like best wrestlers working today right now. It delivered everything. And even the wrestlers maybe weren't even the main factor as to why this match worked. It was actually the manager, Paul Heyman, who was stuck in this sick, twisted love triangle, for lack of a better term, between these wrestlers. I think they did a phenomenal. He really brought this home and made this match alive. This was match of the night, and I would think this is an instant classic for me. This was a really, really well done match.
Yeah, this match was awesome. I felt like it had everything you wanted in it, and it had all the little turns and everything. You were kind of wondering each time,
right?
Every time they almost panned over to Paul Heyman, you were kind of thinking like, what's going on with him? What's gonna happen in this match? Because you knew something crazy was gonna happen, but you just didn't know in which way.
These men all know how to tell a story, right? This is what WWE shines at. When it's firing off at all cylinders, and each match at WrestleMania should be. This is what it feels like. From CM Punk's this Kill Switch Engage entrance playing briefly with a video package. I'm not gonna lie, man. Little man tears shed. The little man tear. It felt like watching CM Punk back in his ECW One Night Stand debut all over again. Just seeing that man and him getting his main event spot at WrestleMania that he always wanted. Seth Rollins coming out with a flamethrower, being over the top ridiculous. Fantastic. Roman Reigns doing his usual entrance, but not even that. I thought the most interesting part of that entrance was him like coming out and then looking to like his side, there being no Paul Heyman there, right? Like, what a story. What a story. Like, he's missing his wise man. This man that's been his manager for so many years through his historic title ranges not being there, and they captured it all perfectly. And like you said, the ring work was phenomenal. All these men know how to work and know how to get the best out of each other, I feel like. All these evocative moments of even though the one specifically I would think would be the Shield brief reunion where Seth Rollins calls over Roman like, this man, we got to take him out. We got to do it like we used to do it. Pumping up Roman and like getting them ready for the power bomb and then just turning on each other like that. And again, the emotions that were there were phenomenal. And then Paul Heyman, like you said, guessing like, what's he going to do? Right. And then it comes towards the end of this match. You have CM Punk kind of calling out Paul Heyman, like, give me a chair, help me out. Paul Heyman gives him the chair to attack Roman while Seth Rollins is over in the corner, like all strawn out. And, Punk's about to hit Roman. Then what does Paul Heyman do? Low blow CM Punk, hits him right in the nads. And, he goes down and then he's like, oh, yeah, it's my tribal chief. I was always there to help you. And you have that emotion in you too. You're like, oh, he's going to help Roman. Like, this is the time, right? It was all a ploy. He was always dedicated to Roman. He's got everyone where he wants him. Like, Roman's going to finish his story. Ironically, if we're gonna throw that out there, he's gonna finish his story against Punk and Seth, right? He's gonna wrap up this whole feud, and then he's gonna hit Seth like Seth hit him with the chair, right? He's gonna get that revenge for when he attacked him when he was part of the Shield. Roman goes to hit him, and then, by God, the ugliest low blow I've ever seen a man give. Paul Heyman runs that arm right up Roman's ball sack, and he just like twists it. He twists his arm in there, and I'm like, oh my God. And Roman falls over in pain, and you see them laughing. You see Seth Rollins stand up with Paul Heyman laughing, and Seth goes in and gets he attacks Roman with the chair, again mirroring the betrayal of the Shield. He does it the exact same way. Roman gets up and he smacks him in the back with the chair, and it's like, damn, man, that's fine, good storytelling right there.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Definitely one of those matches that was the match that lived up to the WrestleMania hype. That was one of the matches where you kind of knew that they were gonna, but you were like, in a way, like, don't let me down with this one. You know?
I'd be lying. I know people will be like, oh, he's probably just saying blowing smoke out of his ass. Like, I kind of called this. I thought there was going to be some kind of weird turn, and I thought it might end up with Seth somehow on the opposite end of this, maybe with a Paul Heyman alignment. Even if you can foretell something that's going to happen, WWE made it incredibly interesting visually, emotionally. It did everything I needed it to do. The spots were great. People who say CM Punk doesn't have it haven't watched this match. Maybe his lackluster performance to some degree in AEW left a bad taste in your mouth. This is CM Punk. He's obviously a little bit older, but he's still catching the spots. They did a phenomenal job. One spot in particular was, I think it was Roman and Seth, actually. Roman went for a spear, and Seth like jumped in the air and caught him in a pedigree and landed down. That was crazy. I popped so hard, and then Punk comes in and does the GTS to wrap it up. Again, I think these matches are some of the hardest. Whenever you have a multi-man match, it's hard enough just to go one-on-one with someone in the ring, but when you have a triple threat, you have to make it believable, right? You have to make it believe like this guy's knocked out on the side, so then they're gonna fight, and it's always complicated, it's always a mess. But these men were professionals. They brought it outside the ring, they brought it in the ring, just the right kind of drama. It was everything I wanted it to be. No one looked weak. I think whoever won this, I think Seth Rollins winning and turning like this his heel persona, I guess, that he's gonna go for, I think it was the right choice. Punk doesn't lose anything by losing this match. Roman just builds his anger streak even more by losing this match. I think it was the right choice. John, 5 stars out of 5 for me. This was an instant classic. If anything else, I'm going to be going back to this match, I think for years to come to watch this. This was an excellent triple threat match.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Definitely 5 out of 5. I felt like definitely a great way to end night 1 of WrestleMania.
Yeah, after
all their mid-card matches that they had.
Yeah, and wrapping up our final thoughts here, this was not a great showing for WWE for night 1 of WrestleMania here, and I really do hope night 2 is better. I think it goes to say, should we not be extending these 2-night events? If you had one good match on the card and the rest of them kind of could have felt like they've been left off, I think there's an argument here. We got to go back to one night, man. And we never will. It's like when we got 3-hour Raw. We're never going to go back to like not being 3 hours anymore. It's just kind of what happens. There's too much advertising, which, God, they do so much advertising. We didn't even talk about that. There was a lot of advertising in this match between Fatal Fury, the video game DJ on stage, and I think it was like some kind of chips and like it was anything you can name of. I think there was like a mascot in the crowd for something, like a juice or something.
Dude wipes or something like that.
They even made fun of it, I think, at one point. I think Pat McAfee was making fun of it. Commentary was also excellent in this match. Congratulations to Wade Barrett, this being his first WrestleMania. He called it right down the middle, man. I'm so happy to hear my British bad guy on there. He did great with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. But yeah, night 1 was a bit lackluster for me. I need to know down in the comments below, what did you guys think? What was your favorite match? Did you feel like this was Mid-Card Mania Night 1? I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. And make sure you stick around. We are a new channel. We're just starting to grow this out. We're kind of experimenting to see where things go. Make sure you like and subscribe. We need all that we can get to make sure you guys like this content. We love talking about wrestling, so this has been something we've been trying to brew up for quite a while. If you like movies, also check out The Real Movie Guys. That's our other channel where we talk about movies and TV shows and all that jazz too. But thank you all for joining us for this for the tag team takes. My name's Kevin. That guy's John. We'll see you in the next one.